Welcome back. Today we're going to be sketching up a backpack concept. But before we can sketch a backpack, we first need to understand the basic constructions. The first one is basically a tube. As you can imagine, it's just drawing a tube down and putting some straps on it. If you turn this sideways, this is the basic construction of a JanSport or typical school backpack. The second one is a baseball, and a modified version of this is what you see in every single messenger bag. Basically, it's just like a baseball coming together, and you can iterate on these two simple constructions and put details on top of them, change the proportions, and you have pretty much every backpack you can imagine. But for today, let's start with that simple tube construction, kind of like a JanSport. But I'm going to make it a little bit boxier just to give it a unique character. And here I'm just kind of sketching out the overall perspective and proportion of the bag just to block it in and get a sense of what the overall canvas I have to add details. So now that I have that blocked in, I'm going to start layering in some additional shapes here. So here I'm adding some pockets to the front flap of the backpack, and you can see this is again just kind of an extruded tube on top of the tube, even though they're somewhat boxy. And I've decided to kind of pipe all of these things just to give it a little bit of added reinforcement and structure. And maybe this is some kind of a logo badge, brand mark up here. And again, kind of getting that piping in. And on that tube construction, let's say there's a thicker under layer, and so we're going to block that in. And we start adding some zipper panels with some leather pull tabs. A lot of times when I do a product like this, I like to give a shadow as if it's floating, because typically this kind of a product is in dynamic use, right, on a person. I'm going to add a little bit of padding on the other underside of these straps. And now that I've got the overall design in place, I'm going to start darkening in some of the areas. Maybe we'll add another little detail here. Maybe it's just a simple fold over pocket. You could put some business cards or a pair of keys in there real quick if you need to. Coming back in, working that line weight. Initially I was just kind of working out the form, and now that I understand the form, I can really darken it in with confidence. So again, kind of working that. You always notice that I'm working all around the product at the same time. I don't just work on one little part. I work the overall thing. I move around it as I see it, and I kind of work it all up. So now I'm going to put a little color on it. So let's say these bottom extra thick areas are leather. And look how simple it is to indicate leather, right? So much of a bag is materials. And just some quick stipples, some quick lines on the piping, and you have the sense that there's this kind of thick leather, making it kind of this kind of premium feel, a little extra rugged, a little tougher. Next, we're going to put in the simple kind of webbing straps. Not going to spend too much time on these because everybody knows what it is, and you don't want to overdo them. And some leather pull tabs there. A lot of times you'll notice on a bag, on the underside of the strap, it's a bright color. It's kind of a safe color pop. And when you're wearing it, you don't see it, but it gives it a nice little fun notion. And we'll bring that color pop back in for the little logo tab there. Maybe we'll just add a little color on the zippers too, just to bring it home. A little extra stippling to give it that leather, little extra pop there, and some shading towards the bottom. You can see, very simple, it makes this bag pop. Now it's time for one of my most favorite parts, adding a little texture. So here I'm using a simple strap that was actually from another backpack, and I'm putting it under the page, and using a number 2 pencil, I'm rubbing through the texture of that strap so I can get a little sense of this heavy duty canvas or nylon type material. And just with a little bit of this texture rubbing through, you can see the bag really takes dimensionality, and you get a sense of, this is a soft good with texture and material, and not just like a hard glossy product. And I think it's those details that make a sketch like this really pop. Now let's work back in, pop those zippers, a little extra shading. Just giving a little bit more definition here to some of this piping, just so the sketch reads a little bit better from a distance. And there you go. A very nice, simple, clean backpack sketch. All right, thanks for joining this week, and as always, if you have any questions or comments, post below and I'll get back to you. And if you have any requests for future videos, pipe in and I'll put it on the list. All right, everybody. Happy sketching.